we were so far away from it. We were here for 5 straight years and got 3 of them. Then you hit rock bottom with injuries and the long road of work ahead and just trying to fill in the right pieces and right guys. And nothing, you ever take this for granted because you never know when you're gonna be back here. And to get back here and get it done means the world.
After going down 3-1 to the Toronto Raptors, the Golden State Warriors found themselves in a situation that they had been in before and they dealt with it. Only this time Kevin Durant was going to be involved. Okay, yeah, technically he was involved in Golden State's 3-1 comeback, but not like that. This time the Golden State Warriors had Kevin Durant in the lineup ready to play in his first game since the second round of the playoffs, returning from his calf strain injury. He would take his first shot less than 2 minutes into the game, knocking down a 3-point shot off of Curry's driving kick. Then on the very next possession, he immediately pulled up off the catch, hitting another 3. But he kept on cooking, taking his dribble pull-up early in the shot clock, 11 points in 12 minutes of play for KD. The Warriors had full control of this game early on, but then it happened.
Ibaka trying to stay with Durant, knocks it away, and Durant's limping. Durant goes down holding his leg. Ibaka goes up and is fouled down the other end, and Durant grabbing that right leg.
Kevin Durant had ruptured his Achilles. The Warriors' 2-time Finals MVP was done for the year. But immediately after the injury, Golden State didn't lose any momentum. DeMarcus Cousins gave them a quick spark off the bench to get a double-digit lead, but this Raptors team was tough and resilient. They kept chipping away at leads all game long until Kawhi hit a massive 3 to take the lead with 5 minutes left in the game. And then with 4 minutes left, another, followed by a mid-range jumper the very next possession. He was taking this game over. But down by 6, the Splash Bros would come up big first with Klay and then with Steph Curry tying up the game, but the deciding shot would come from Klay Thompson. Warriors win 106-105. 1 down, 2 to go. They didn't have Durant, but this team was still capable of winning 2 more. Game 6 was on, and it was a close one. The entire first 3 quarters had these 2 teams going back and forth. This was going to be an amazing game, and Golden State was right there.
Lost the ball. Thompson running the floor, and a foul. And Thompson grabs his left knee.
But tragedy would hit for Golden State again. 1 game after Durant's devastating injury, Klay Thompson suffered one himself, tearing his ACL. No Durant, no Klay, but 1 quarter to force Game 7 and stay alive in the finals. Despite good play from Toronto and being down 2 All-Stars, Golden State actually remained in control. But as the game got under 4 minutes, the Raptors went on a 7-1 run to take a lead in this elimination game. The short-handed Warriors continued to fight though, finding themselves down 1 point with 9 seconds left in the game, and they had the ball. And there's only 1 player they had to get the ball to in this situation, none other than Stephen Curry. They got the ball to him, but the 3-point shot was off, and that was it. The future of the Golden State Warriors was now in question. On top of Klay and Durant's injury, KD had declined his player option to test free agency. All season long, signs were pointing to him leaving, including reports and locker room turmoil. With free agency approaching, it became more evident that Kevin Durant might be out. And in the very first minute of the 2019 free agency, the news broke.
Breaking news on the Jump free agency special. Oh yes, nobody is waiting till 6 o'clock Eastern. Adrian Wojnarowski reporting that Kevin Durant is in fact headed to Brooklyn to join Kyrie Irving and DeAndre Jordan.
Kevin Durant was officially leaving the Golden State Warriors, but it wasn't a complete loss for them because they actually pulled off a sign and trade to get an all-star in D'Angelo Russell coming off of a career year. That's not a bad return for a guy who not only wouldn't play for a year, but also decided on leaving. Despite losing Durant, this will be a crucial free agency win for Golden State, but they also drafted a shooting guard out of Michigan with the 28th pick in the 2019 draft. This kid Jordan Poole was known to be a lights out shooter in college. It just fit the brand for the Warriors. However, it was still expected to be a down year in Oakland. They just lost 2 all-star players, one to free agency and the other to injury. Steph Curry was going to have to carry a serious load if they wanted to be contending. And early on, it was not going well, as Golden State started the season 1-3, but in that 4th game of the year, Curry would break his left hand, only returning for 1 more game that season with the hand injury. No Curry, no KD, no Klay, the Warriors had suffered devastating losses all so close together. This would be an incredibly disappointing season. And for recently acquired D'Angelo Russell, he would only last until February on the team where he would be traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. In return, Golden State got Andrew Wiggins and an unprotected first-round pick in the 2021 NBA draft. And speaking of picks, because of the disappointing season, the Warriors had a chance to grab a very valuable pick.
The second pick goes to the Golden State Warriors, and that means that the #1 pick in the 2020 NBA draft goes to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
And they received exactly that, the second pick of the NBA draft, with top prospects like LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, and James Wiseman who could potentially be available. But why would the Warriors keep this pick? They are in win now mode. Everyone believed that a big trade for a star was going to happen, because it only made sense that they would make a splash with that pick, but it never came. Instead, they selected James Wiseman, 2nd overall, a promising center out of Memphis that could develop into their center of the future. So things were looking better now. They just drafted a young player that could start now for them. They still have Draymond Green, Curry will come back, now have Andrew Wiggins, and the lineup would be complete with Klay Thompson returning from his ACL injury. But during the process of him recovering, the unthinkable happened. He tore his Achilles, back-to-back devastating injuries for Klay Thompson, meaning he would be out for another season. But even without Klay, they still had a good team on paper. They traded for Kelly Oubre, signed Kent Bazemore, and they were giving a chance to Juan Toscano Anderson with a 2-way contract, where he would later earn a full contract with his great hustle play. Later on in the season, they also signed Gary Payton II on a few 10-day deals before signing him as well. Up to this point, GP2 had bounced around on a few teams as a reserve player, and now Golden State was giving him a chance. But the season did not go as planned, as the 8-seed Warriors found themselves in the play-in tournament. Their matchup, LeBron James and Anthony Davis leading the Los Angeles Lakers. This is a big-time matchup in which the Warriors were cooking early. Andrew Wiggins and Steph Curry hitting some serious shots, including ending the first half with an absolute bang to go up by 13 points. This was their game, but the third quarter was completely flipped for the Lakers. They began gaining some momentum, continuing to cut this lead down more and more, and by the early fourth quarter, this game was tied up. We had the big time matchup everyone expected. This back and forth between these teams kept going for the entire fourth quarter, with the spot in the playoffs on the line. Tied up at 100 with a minute left, Golden State had the Lakers locked down. It was a dead possession, but it was kicked out to LeBron James for 3.
James puts up the 3. Oh, it's gone! LeBron James from downtown as the shot clock expired.
The Warriors were unable to respond and the Lakers advanced to the playoffs. However, the Warriors had one more chance to secure a spot in the playoffs with the young Memphis Grizzlies in their way. And this young team came out on fire, making a statement against the favored Warriors team. But like they always do, Golden State got scorching hot.
With Curry obviously now. Curry, count it, and the foul.
Thanks, I really needed to see that. He made 2 corner threes as Curry.
Oh, with the... Here comes Poole. Cross court Curry. Curry for 3. Puts it in. Poole launches one. Rattles it home.
But they did not maintain this momentum. Memphis quickly bounced back and kept control of the game, taking a double-digit lead into the half. Steph Curry, though, really started to get going, and once again, this was a game. And Ja Morant was doing a great job dueling Curry. A 3-pointer and 2 floaters later, Memphis had control again. A 10-point lead with 3.5 minutes remaining, but as the Warriors always do, they fought back, tying up the game at 99 with the Wiggins lay-in. However, they had one possession with a chance to win the game. Curry passed it to Draymond, he put up the floater, way off, overtime basketball.
Your minutes tonight, conditioning a factor here down the stretch.
Curry pulls back a 2-pointer, got it. Ja Morant goes at Curry, spins, throws it deflected. Ball goes to Tillman, out to Allen, hits the 3. Wiggins backs in, up top to Green, left wide open. Connects! Oh, Toscano Anderson the rebound. Pull for 3. Bang! Morant gets in the paint, stops, kicks it back out in the corner. Tillman for 3. Puts it in! Curry with 5 fouls, shot clock at 3. Morant gets inside, a little push shot is good.
After an eventful overtime period, it was Ja Morant who hit the dagger, eliminating the Golden State Warriors from playoff contention. Back-to-back years missing the playoffs, the Warriors had completely fallen off after being on top for 5 consecutive years. The dynasty was pretty much over with everybody writing them off. The only option now was to make a serious trade for a star with all of the picks and James Wiseman. It seemed like that was going to be the only way that they could get back to the top. So as the 2021 NBA draft came around and the Warriors had 2 lottery picks, 1 and 7 from Minnesota and their own 14th pick, everyone expected a massive move. The Lakers had already made one trading for Westbrook right before the draft. So how was Golden State going to respond? They responded by using both of their draft picks. Once again, when a trade is expected, they didn't do it, but instead drafted Jonathan Kuminga, a freak athlete from G League Ignite, and Moses Moody.
When you look at Moses Moody.
But it didn't make sense to people. The Warriors have an aging core. They are in win now mode. Why not trade those young players for a big time star to contend for a championship once again? But truthfully, the organization didn't think they needed that big time star to be contenders. So they signed their first round picks along with signing Otto Porter Jr., Andre Iguodala, and Nemanja Bjelica in free agency. They would begin the season without that blockbuster trade that everyone thought they needed. And early on, they looked genius for not making a move because the Warriors got off to a scorching hot start to the year, 18-2 in the first 20 games, including 2 7-game win streaks. The team was playing with a league-leading impenetrable defense and a league-leading unstoppable offense. They would continue to play well over the course of the season, but they did slow down some during the absence of Draymond Green, including a shooting slump from Steph Curry. However, on January 9th, something very notable was going to happen. Klay Thompson returned for his first game since July of 2019. He had gone 941 days without playing in an NBA game, but he was officially back. A key piece to the Golden State Warriors, who already looked like a championship team before he even returned. The original Big Three was now back together once Draymond was healthy again, but now you add in Andrew Wiggins, who had developed into a lockdown defender in his time with the Warriors, and a player who had a massive rise during the season in Jordan Poole. That sharpshooter that they invested the 28th pick into was becoming a young star. Golden State had a new splash brother, but also giving Gary Payton II a chance ended up being worth it. He proved to be an excellent defender and role player that would make a difference for the team, making winning plays. And the Warriors would complete the season as the 3rd seed in the West. Even with Steph Curry and Draymond Green missing stretches of the year with injury, Golden State was back in the playoffs and they had what it took to make some noise. Their opponent, the Denver Nuggets and MVP Nikola Jokic. However, this would be a breeze for Golden State, quickly taking a 3-0 lead in the series. Their new death lineup was too much for Denver as they couldn't keep up with the small ball speed, not to mention the pool party and Steph Curry, the greatest 6th man. They would lose in game 4 but wrap up the series in 5, a gentleman's sweep. After that series, it was time for a more challenging opponent though, the Memphis Grizzlies, led by Ja Morant, that same team that eliminated the Warriors in the previous year's play-in tournament. They wanted their revenge, and just like the play-in game from a year prior, game 1 of this series was a fight. But in this fight, the Warriors had Klay Thompson. It was him hitting the game-winning 3-point shot. And following a Game 2 loss, Golden State obliterated Memphis at home while protecting home court in Game 4 as well, a 3-1 lead, and they would close out the series in 6 games. Just like that, back in the conference finals, they were 8-3 so far in this playoff run and would now face Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks, who had just dominated Phoenix in a Game 7. But the Warriors kept proving they were too much for their competition. The Mavericks also held a gentleman's sweep while 6 Warriors averaged double figures, 4 of them averaging over 15 a game, and they had great efficiency as a team. And they had done it, returning to the NBA Finals 4 wins away from an NBA championship. They would be facing off against the Boston Celtics team who had just won back-to-back series in a Game 7, and this would be the first series where Golden State would lose in Game 1. Boston hit 21 of their 41 3-point shot attempts with contributions everywhere, but the Warriors responded with a huge game of their own in Game 2, tying up the series. Back in Boston, needing to defend home court, they did exactly that. Boston had control of the series now, just 2 wins away from their first championship since 2008. Take the 3-1 lead in Game 4 and this series was in the bag for them. But Steph Curry was not letting that happen. He exploded for 43 points in the must-win game. The Celtics were letting him play one-on-one and he took advantage of that. But Game 5 would be much different. Boston's game plan was to eliminate Curry from this game, and they executed it well, but taking away Curry still wasn't enough. Along with the tenacious defense of the Warriors, Andrew Wiggins would have his big game, scoring 26 points to lead the team in scoring, and now they just needed one more win, and the Warriors were back on top. But it had to be done in TD Garden. Boston got hot very early in this game, taking a 12-2 lead, but it wasn't shortly after when Golden State responded with a 21-0 run, the longest run in the last 50 years of an NBA Finals game. They kept up the momentum and walked into halftime up 15 points, 24 more minutes to hold on to that lead, and they're NBA champions. Their lead continued to fluctuate from 10-20 throughout the rest of the game, but they never lost control. In the final minutes, it was Steph Curry who put the dagger in the heart of the Boston Celtics, securing the Warriors' 4th title since 2015 and his first ever Finals MVP award. After the events of 2019 to 2021, many thought that the Warriors' run was over. The dynasty was finished. They wouldn't pull the trigger on a trade for another star, opting to keep their young players while the core of the team was aging. But in the end, it just didn't matter. The Warriors overcame injuries and the front office continued to believe. They believed that Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson could still be a championship core. They believed that Andrew Wiggins could be a star on a championship team. They believed that Jordan Poole could develop into a serious offensive threat on a championship team. They believed that Kevon Looney, Gary Payton II, and Otto Porter Jr. could be important role players for a championship team. They believed that what they had was a championship team. They believed.